Good.
All right.
So,
You're on, Ethel.
yep. Okay, we're all set, right?
Mhm.
Have you all had a chance to look at the minutes from February 8th? Are there any additions or corrections? There being none, I'll take a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Yeah, second.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
No, I
good.
don't vote.
The minutes have been passed. Good. All right, Katie, you're up.
All right. Well, certainly the biggest piece out of youth services is preparing for Danielle's transition out and the recruitment for finding our next youth services social worker. We will never call them the new Danielle because Danielle is irreplaceable. Of course. So that is a big piece of the work in progress, and kind of just making sure that all of the loose ends and kiddos and programs are handed off and planned for that kind of bridge in the interim. Recruitment for that position does close on the 10th with the anticipated first round of interviews to be on the 17th. So we are hoping to have a pretty quick turnaround for filling that position. We have kind of coverage planned for all of our programs through the end of April with our mentoring and all of that. Ethel.
Katie, are you guys doing a going away thing for?
We are doing a drop-in stop-by breakfast, and I can forward you all of the information after I get off this call on Danielle's last day. So it'll be March 18th from like 9 until 11 o'clock in our office. So if you want to swing by, grab a bite of breakfast with Danielle, well, folks are welcome to. We're also having a Zoom option if you want to Zoom in. I think the Zoom's going to be open. I don't remember if it was 9 to 10 or 10 to 11. I think it's 10 to 11 where folks can pop on and send their wishes. So I'll definitely send that out to this group after we're done meeting.
Good.
So all of the programs are planned to make sure they've got the coverage in place with our team until the new person starts. Sarah Dufresne is going to be doing just kind of touch point check-ins with some of the kiddos at MMS that Danielle would normally see for counseling, so that if there are big things that come up, they at least have that touch point that we can kind of connect around any other big needs that Sarah wouldn't be able to kind of do from that clinical standpoint. But she's been amazing and just willing to jump in to support all of our coverage needs across just about everything. So that's been incredibly helpful. And, you know, that is Sarah's way. So we're lucky to have her forever, but also lucky to have her, especially in the midst of this transition. And then she's a familiar face to all of those kids just through other mechanisms. So having that kind of trusted adult is going to be a good fit. And also then her being able to help connect them to our new person who comes in and to keep that bridge kind of constant. So we're happy for that. The Grub Club programs are getting ready to switch over soon. The Southeast is the only school that elected to have them kind of run the same group throughout the rest of the year. So they'll keep on, but then for Goodwin and Vinton, we'll be switching after next week, which crew of kiddos we'll be working with and kind of what our focuses will be. Kelly's been doing the My Friendship Club. She put a pause on the Southeast My Friendship Club group right now because they were having lower enrollment in recruitment, but I think they're anticipating getting started in the next week or two with that. They had a few more families interested in filling out some forms and stuff like that to get ready for that social skills group. My Voice and My Pride are still going strong in the after school hours. We are doing some painting work for My Pride starting yesterday to finally get those wings painted for the Pride celebration that we are anticipating to hold in town on June 10th that we're really excited for. And the kids are really excited for it too. Also new since I think the last time we met, Sarah has officially started up the collaborative gardening club for Q3 and Q4 with MMS staff. I know her and Patrice Walsh are doing it. I forget who the other staff is that's also helping support that endeavor. Do you know, Larry?
Maybe Sue Kaminsky.
That sounds right.
I'm gonna look. I'm gonna go confirm that.
So that has been really exciting. They've had like 18 there every time since they've been meeting on Tuesday afternoons. And there's really a goal to help raise plants for that plant sale that is coming up as part of the sustainability event that Sarah's coordinating on April 23rd, as well as potentially growing things that can be eaten in school lunches, which is really also exciting to kind of connect kids to food and connect kids to community. The mother-daughter circle group will be wrapping up this month. It started to kind of have some attrition in the group, and so it's been tough to get folks together. We got hit a couple of times with COVID and staffing, and then some other family availability stuff. So we're not going past the original March snow dates, but we'll wrap up then. Larry.
Yeah, just for clarity, it was Ms. Sopranet, our 7th grade science teacher.
Okay, thank you. And then the maybe other kind of second biggest and kind of exciting update is we are officially seeing our first cases for the WHAM RDT this week, actually on the 10th. So we've got 2 cases that will be seen. They are both Mansfield cases that were referred via EO and Troop C. So we'll be excited to be kicking off with that. There is one other referral that has come through that'll be seen either later in March or in April, depending on what our Willington crew works out with that referral. Oh, and then I'm also supposed to put on your radar that you might be getting an email from the Connecticut Clearinghouse identifying you as a community stakeholder for the town of Mansfield, asking you to fill out a community readiness survey. And those community readiness surveys are sent out through the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services based on who CRAC lists as stakeholders. So what that does for CRAC, who's one of our major grantors, is it helps to get data for the part of the state that they do the grant acquisition for. So the more data that is reported from CRAC's catchment area, the better cases they have of being able to bring in additional funds for our part of the state to be able to apply for. So that community readiness survey is about 15 minutes or so. Yes, Ethel?
I got that already. That came out a while ago.
They sent one out like in early February, and then they were going to send out another round for either a reminder for folks if they hadn't filled it out yet.
Right.
Or we had a few new people that I had CRAC add to the list because they had been working off of an old list because I don't think John Carrington is going to fill out that community readiness survey right now as he is not the acting town manager anymore, and probably like doesn't want to add that to his to-do list. And then there were a few folks who had not originally received the email on this advisory board that I did give their contact information to be identified as a stakeholder, since you guys are all serving as the local prevention council. So that survey looks at your sense of resources and your sense of readiness and investment that the town of Mansfield has in addressing substance use prevention, mental health prevention, suicide prevention, and problem gambling prevention. So it's a way for them to get lots of data to see kind of where our region is at in terms of priority reporting, and potentially helps channel more grant money to this side of the state that would be then available for us to apply to. So if you haven't already gotten it, keep an eye out. If you have already gotten it, please fill it out. It is always appreciated. Yes, Deb.
So I did fill out the one back in February and then got prompted again. So should I not do the second one then? Just let it suffice that
I
did
think
one?
if you have already filled it out in February, that you're good.
Okay.
My guess is, honestly, if you tried to click the link again, it might say, you've already done this.
But we hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? Vote early, vote often.
Well, yeah. Maybe I
Yeah,
changed my
I
mind.
think the responses are linked to the emails. Yeah, I think you're right, Katie. So I don't think they would probably let you fill it out again.
Okay.
I
I'll
hope
ignore.
SurveyMonkey is savvy enough for it, but I don't know. I don't do that behind the scenes work.
We could try and see what happens.
You could sign in from another
All this
email.
data we're getting from Mansfield. This is so great.
Okay. Are you all done, Katie?
I think that's that, unless anybody has any questions of things that I missed and can answer.
I'm just curious about you had mentioned the first round interview for Danielle's position being the 17th. Just I would be hopeful that one of us would be on that committee.
And Larry, I thought you were being asked.
I heard that, but I heard that, but I haven't been formally, so I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, I mean, you're who I listed,
Okay,
you
cool.
know, so that
Yeah.
either you or somebody you appoint, I
Yeah.
would think, just because we work so much with the middle school
Yeah.
with that position that, you know, and you've sat on it before, so
Yep.
you know, kind of know the spiel. So we
Yeah.
can check with Kelsey.
Okay, yeah, I
on
just
that.
Yeah,
haven't
can you
received
follow
any
up with HR
notification.
on that?
I
What's that?
will.
Yeah. Yeah, just let me know.
Yeah, I had
the
let them
times.
know that, you know, in order for us to get this, because it will be a, you know, a day-long interview, you know.
Sure, yeah.
The applicant, I mean, I know there are a lot of applicants
Okay.
because I just know there will be a ton of them to go through, but, you know, I told them that that people need to have as much lead time as possible in order to make sure they have a day free. That's, you know, days, as you know, full days are precious
Yep.
to all of us, and to find people who don't have something for a full day, you know, just a week out is tough. So I'll check. I will follow up with that, Larry.
Thank you. I mean, I heard through the grapevine that I was participating, but I just didn't have any dates.
But nobody asked you. You just heard through the grapevine we're participating. Can't make it up, can you, Larry?
No. So thank you. And I just think it's important. Obviously from
Absolutely.
a school lens to have someone from school, but I think from this group as well. And I you know.
Right,
I
right.
think
I think so. I think so. So we had identified, that's what we had said, you know, that you would be a great candidate. So.
Especially in that dual role of being a part of the schools and the
Right.
advisory board and being able to kind of be efficient with our folks in the room.
Good choice.
Right. And that's, you know, first rounds. That's just the first rounds.
Yeah.
So, although, you know, we want to make sure we select the right person, but we also would love to have someone in that could link with the schools and that before the end of the school year, you know, because it's a challenge to hire somebody to come in during the summer, you know, although there are some nice things about that because we do have summer programming and that it's really good to give them kind of an orientation while school's in session as well. So, okay. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I think you all know, Katie sent out the budget schedule. There are multiple times for people to give input and ways for people to give input. I think one of the tricky things is when people are looking for human services, they don't realize that we're considered part of community services, which is human services, the library, and the regular Parks and Rec, not their separate fund that they have, you know, their revolving fund that they have, but the regular Parks and Rec are in that segment too. So we're in community service. I have not seen the town manager's budget yet. And I will see it at the same time he presents it to the council. You know, so I know what I submitted, but it'll be interesting to see what comes out on the other side. So also something that you should know about is the ARPA fund discussion is continuing on. A lot of people ask me, how is that separate from the town council? I mean, our regular budget's completely separate. And we do from human services have a couple of items in there, as well as there's some money for outside agencies as well in that. So there's another meeting tomorrow, another special meeting for, you know, separate for the council to discuss ARPA funds. So if you're interested in that, you certainly can. Pardon?
I was going to ask you if there was any reaction from the town council about our letter.
I have not heard anything specific about
Okay.
that as of yet. So, and again, most of those comments will probably happen during the budget discussion.
Okay.
So I think I told you I did put in a service improvement that was in my portion of the budget. So, and then everybody got that letter. So there's an understanding that, there's support for that. So another initiative that's out there right now that I'm involved in, and Shamim is also involved in, is the Rural Welcoming Initiative. That's specifically geared for refugees and people from other countries that come in here. And so there's a lot of discussion that's going on around that, but there's some formalized things that are happening at the town level too. I just wanted you to be aware of that. And we are participating in Goodwin's Care Teams Fair that's happening tomorrow. Dorothy will be over there with several computers and some staff members to help families sign up for both Farms to Family and the Helping Hands program, as well as to discuss and give information on any other programs and services that we offer. So excited that that's happening. We're also in discussion, something that you should know that's a part of the ARPA funds that they've discussed is approximately $150,000 to help with some of the extreme utility costs, possibly rental and or mortgage assistant, which if any of you have followed this issue, first of all, some people have some incredible bills post-pandemic. And the second part of that is the money that was assisting with the rental component anyway is gone at this point. The federal money that had come down for disbursement, there's talk of a second group, but that hasn't been identified yet. And we do have some concerns about people being displaced. And not only that, the fact that in Mansfield, the rentals are going up substantially, and they have been going up. So we're finding that for a lot of our families and individuals, about a lot of our families, if they're not even necessarily just asked like our rents are going up, so pay more, they're actually being told, because they're actually being told that their leases, they're not going to renew their leases because they're looking to rent to students where they can make more money. So we have a number of people that are, in a number of our lower income families that are in kind of a tough spot that would like to stay in Mansfield, but are struggling to find an affordable rent in order to stay here. So that's, kind of been happening too. So we're hopeful that we can offer some assistance. It's not a lot. And again, you help in those areas, then money dries up fast. But that is one of the proposals for ARPA, to make some money available for that. So, and that's about where we're at right now, unless you have any questions for me. Another good thing is we did get our new van through the senior center. But one of the great things about, we now have a backup van too, but neither, because the town purchased it, neither are tied to some of the rules that we used to have about only transporting senior and disabled individuals. So we do have some more flexibility with those vehicles. So if, for example, if youth services had a need for one of those now, because they're not both owned by the town, we have some flexibility as far as that's concerned. So that's a really good thing. And that's my report.
Any questions for Pat? If not, we'll move on.
Oh, one
to-
more thing. We are interviewing for Jessica's old position, because we're
Okay.
short-staffed over here. So we're interviewing for that tomorrow. So we have a couple of candidates. Hopefully we'll get a good one. So
Refresh our memory. What's her position now? For those.
she
who
is,
don't know.
her title is clerical assistant, which
Oh, yeah,
isn't
right.
really what she does. She basically, coordinates the food pantry, the stocking, all of that. She assists with food share, Farms to Families. She helps out with financials. She orders supplies throughout the department. That position does.
Right.
They're generally kind of do a bit of everything, I guess would be the best way to put it, wherever there's a need in the department. So it's a 19-hour position. So hopefully we'll get someone that's good. Jessica will be hard to replace.
Alrighty, moving on to old business sector reports. Are there any? How about new business? Any new business? I think you guys have covered everything. Anything else? Does anybody else have anything they want to say or add to this meeting or etc.?
I think the only thing that I can think of is just noting the difference this year in that this group is no longer voting on agency grants with the changes that happened to the Human Services Advisory Board in that charge. So that's something that we would typically be doing around this time of year, but our work group, our advisory board will not be doing moving forward. It'll all just kind of go through the Human Services Advisory Board.
And Ethel is the chair and your representative on it. So I don't know, Ethel, if you want to talk about the agency grant
Well,
process and what happened.
we made some recommendations, but basically, I think it's probably on hold, right? Because there's a subcommittee meeting to discuss the parameters around the grants. The town council said, okay, rule on these applications for grants. They never told us what they wanted, what their parameters were, or how much money we had. That's the important thing. How much money do we have to work with? So how could we reward or award grants without knowing that? But we did make some recommendations, and there's a subcommittee of the Human Services Committee that's meeting in a couple of weeks to talk about recommendations to the town about new funding, because they're getting some new money, and what we think should happen with some of the money.
Right. I think that it sounds like the Human Service Advisory is just looking for a bit more guidance
Direction.
to help them make the decisions. And so they're looking at, let's take a look at the process,
Right.
Not just the application, but, shouldn't the council kind of give us some direction, not us, because I don't make decisions, but I staff that. That group, shouldn't they tell us what their priorities are for the year, what their parameters are, so that it's easier for us to make recommendations.
And how much money we have.
Right. That's another big part of it.
Yeah, because you can't make a rational decision. You can't say, well, we're going to award 10,000 to one program and 20,000 to another. They're not going to do that much, but but not knowing how much money we have. So we're going to ask for some guidance on that too.
Right. I mean, we know that mental health and concrete services, including food insecurity and housing, and that are the town's top priorities right now. But, I mean, I think Victoria had a great point when she said most of these issues have a huge impact on mental health. So if you can't get food, or you have no place to live, or or you're a victim of domestic violence, or, most of these services have a large impact.
You can't separate them.
on-
It's as simple as that.
it's tough.
They're also intertwined. So we'll have to see what happens. So
Mhm.
we're trying to figure out something.
Right. So what they're going to do is then make recommendations. And I think possibly one of the committee members is going to come to or virtually come at least to the budget hearing to answer questions. Because what ends up happening is I'm the one who ends up answering the questions. And it can be a pretty precarious situation because I don't want to misrepresent the committee itself, because I'm the staff person. So, I think that will be good too. I think that's one of the things you're talking about as well, right, Ethel?
Yeah, I think there'll be more than one or two people there, at least two people I think will be there. Some else will be there, so we'll see what happens, but we'll figure that out on the 21st too, so we'll see what happens. All righty, is there anything else?
Pat, I just had one more question since we had a few folks joining. And for some folks, maybe it's their first time going through the budget process. So knowing that the Human Services budget is being presented on 4/7, what would be the process if anybody wanted to either make public comment or attend that meeting from an advocacy standpoint?
So you can submit both in writing, or you actually can make public comment. They have a time for public comment.
What time is that?
So you can verbally do, it's, let me pull the schedule up here. I think I'm gonna say, I want to say 7, but that's only because that's when everything happens. But for some reason, it might be 6:30.
Okay.
6:30 to 9:30.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And so
And
what'll happen is, let me see the order. So
Is
I'm
listed in
not,
council
you won't be the
chambers, are
first
they
one
also
that
gonna-
goes on. Yeah.
Pat, are they also going to do it on Zoom as a hybrid, or is it going to be only in council chambers?
So again, they're waiting, but I think they've just found that hybrid has worked so well for people that it might be hybrid.
good.
So, I think they're gonna probably discuss that more probably toward the end of this month, at their last town council meeting, depending on numbers. But I think, there has been discussions about, can we keep a component of the hybrid? One of their concerns has been that since they've gone hybrid, they've had substantially less public comment. It's just, it's interesting because it's easier to make public comment. You don't have to leave your house, but for some reason, people are more apt to show up and make public comment. Is one of the things they're noticing.
Deborah?
Did you say April 7th?
Yep, April 7th, 6:30 to 9:30. Right now it's in council chambers. So it may be hybrid. We'll let you know once we find that out. The town manager will present his budget on March 30th. That's also another time where you can make public comment. And then there's also a public information sent on April 6th. And again, you can make comment during those times if that April 7th isn't a convenient time for you. Or you can submit it in writing.
Okay.
So Pat, would we know then on March 30th if the town manager's budget includes
Yes.
this group's recommendation?
Yes. Yep.
So then
We
if
will
it
know
does,
once it's
then-
published. You still want to send in stuff to support it because, that's just the town manager's recommendation. And just so you know, there's 2 other places where it can be added in, even if it's not in that. One is the town council can add it in before they complete their budget process. And the other is at the annual town meeting. You can also ask for it to be added in to the budget at that point. So, and anything at that, you can, the Board of Ed budget or the town budget.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything
Um,
else?
I'm actually just remembering and talking about hybrid versus in-person. So with Mansfield lifting the mask mandate, there are options for advisory boards and committees to continue to meet virtually or potentially in a hybrid format. And that decision is being left up to the chairs as to how we want to proceed. So Ethel, it would be up to you if you wanted to kind of keep us virtual for the time being, or if you wanted to switch into like a hybrid model.
No, keeping it virtual, I think works best. We always have a quorum. People don't have to go to town hall. I just think it's much more convenient to do it from home or from your office.
I see you've
Looks
gotten a
like
heart
Lisa
from
agrees.
Lisa.
Yeah, but at least for now, until things
I
settle
was gonna
down.
say, I think in the beginning, that's not how people felt, but I think people have gotten pretty used to this format.
Yeah.
And, I'm glad they're at least offering the option for hybrid. I have a couple of people who have very young children that are really concerned about getting together with groups because their kids haven't been vaccinated. And, this works for them. It's a lot easier for them to participate, without being concerned.
Yeah, I would just like things to settle down and see where this virus is going, if anywhere, before we
Right.
make those
You-
kind of decisions.
I was gonna say, and you can always choose down the line to do some this way and some, like some groups may say quarterly, we'll all get, we'll do a hybrid or we'll all get together or whatever as
We
well.
can always change our minds,
Mhm.
let's
But it
just
is up
see.
to the chair, because I did ask, Katie had asked me,
Tell them we're
we're like,
gonna-
"Oh, up to the chair.
Yeah, virtual.
Hopefully they'll ask the group, but it's up to the chair.
Virtual on both this one and human services at this point, until we
Yeah.
figure out. If
Well,
that's
I'm just
okay with everybody.
appreciating
I don't wanna
the-
make a unilateral decision. Okay, good.
I'm appreciating the time saver and the quorum factor that we have had in virtual, because I know it is not always easy for folks to get away from what they're in the middle of doing to drive, sit, and then go. Whereas if you're like, say in your, law enforcement vehicle or your desk at school where
Okay.
something might be going on, but you can step away and join for at least a little bit. I think it keeps us better connected more frequently and keeps it from becoming maybe quite as burdensome
Right.
to be on an advisory board when this is allowed. So I've been appreciative of it, and I'm appreciative of
Good.
all of you guys still carving out that time to be here. It's wonderful. So thank you.
I think we've had a challenges getting student representatives as well in the past, because they would have had to figure out how to leave school.
Yeah.
And get back. So this, I think, will be easier for us to get and continue to get student, that's young student representation. So.
It's working, so why mess with a good thing at this point?
I know.
I said,
And again, I mean, I'm amazed at the number of groups that still want to keep, not just these type of groups, but even just support groups and that kind of thing, that virtual is really working well for them. So.
Good. Well, good. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. The next meeting is April 12th. So, have a motion?
I'll motion.
Okay, a second. Larry seconded.
Yep, second.
Okay, well, thank you all for coming, and we will see you all next month.
Thank you.
Right.
Bye.
Ethel, I'll send
That
that
or the
link
budget
out.
meeting.
All right. Take
you
care,
all.
everyone.
Bye-bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye-bye.